All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's video where we will be breaking down all of the Easter eggs and everything you need to know from the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. Obviously, this was leaked yesterday. Most all of you have seen it, but now we get it in full glorious HD. And another important thing to note is that actually yesterday, the first 30 seconds of the trailer were not included in that leaked video. The leaked video we saw on Twitter was around 2 minutes and 20 seconds in length and did show the final ending of the trailer, but it did not show that some of the good stuff at the beginning. So let's take a look at the first 30 seconds that we are seeing now for the first time, and we'll take a look at the latter half, two-thirds of the trailer, rather, that we did see on Twitter in shitty fashion in 144p. Now we have it in full glorious HD, so let's dive right in and take a look.
Oh, look at this. This is a good one. Some suggest that Parker's powers include the male spider's ability to hypnotize.
So one thing to note here, not highlighting too much on what is on the newspaper because I can't exactly see, but she's recounting the story in the news regarding Peter Parker's actions in the prior film. So Peter's essentially been framed for a murder, as we saw at the end of the second movie, and he is now getting a lot of negative press and attention. That's where this movie starts off. So MJ officially knows that Peter is Spider-Man, and the romantic relationship has really developed and flourished. I think that for a lot of people, they've not been a huge fan of Zendaya as MJ, and even though some of the things that they've done with like not calling her Mary Jane and only calling her MJ are very weird and kind of bizarre, I'm not a huge fan of. But overall, I'm actually quite a big fan of her as Mary Jane. And the reason why is I think that now we're actually seeing what we've wanted to see all along in this trilogy, which is them together as a couple in a relationship. And the first movie, they almost make it seem like they hate each other in a weird way and like kind of a flirtatious way, but they still don't really like each other. And then in the second movie, they've kind of accelerated it a bit. But this is going to be the first movie where they're actually together and really having some kind of a relationship. And their relationship is going to be put to the test by the fact that Peter is now this infamous celebrity wherein people think he's a murderer and people hate him. And that's why he goes to Doctor Strange, which we'll see here in just a minute.
Females.
Stop, come on.
Yes, my spider lord.
He's obviously reading J. Jonah Jameson's newspaper here, by the way.
Can we just like stay up here all day? It is so crazy down there.
That was from the end of the second movie.
Is in fact Peter Parker.
Listen, I did not kill Mysterio. The drones did.
The drones that are yours.
New York City, obviously.
Any part of you feel relieved about all this?
What do you mean?
Now that everybody knows, you don't really have to hide or lie to people.
For the record, I never wanted to lie to you. But how do you tell someone that you're Spider-Man? Now everybody knows.
MJ is expressing some level of being upset with Peter for not revealing to her earlier. You know, it's important to remember that they had been friends for, at this point, around 2 to 2.5 years at this point upon her finding out. So she kind of feels betrayed, lied to, etc. But now she's really invested. She's on top of this gigantic bridge with Spider-Man. So she's kind of like MJ we've seen from prior movies and in the comics where when she's kind of on board, she really is. And here she is standing 150 feet over the concrete in New York City. Peter can get you involved in that sort of stuff. Kind of the social media age being highlighted here as well, how everybody's really trying to embarrass him and making his life hell. It's like everybody's the paparazzi now, right? Like if you're a celebrity, there's no way to hide from it. It's not like it's just TMZ you have to worry about. Literally everybody has a cell phone. And that's obviously a frustrating experience for Peter in this moment where he's been framed for something he didn't do.
Everybody knows. But this isn't about me. This is hurting a lot of people. I've just been thinking about.
So you can see Aunt May and Ned are also being investigated by the police to see if they had any involvement in Peter potentially, allegedly being a murderer, which obviously he's not, but they think he is.
How to fix all of this.
And this is where he approaches Doctor Strange.
What do I owe the pleasure?
I'm sorry to bother you, sir.
Please, we saved half the universe together. I think we're beyond you calling me sir.
Okay.
The film is also going to be a Christmas film, or winter film, rather.
Allow it.
When Mysterio revealed my identity, my entire life got screwed up. I was wondering if maybe you could make it so that he never did.
Strange, don't cast that spell.
So it's unclear to me why Doctor Strange actually would cast the spell, because clearly the concerns being raised here are accurate insofar as this is going to warping the space-time continuum and entering into the multiverse is going to be a huge problem for Peter, as we'll see towards the end of the film, probably towards the beginning of the third act, where he's going to start to realize that he had taken his life for granted, and really his life wasn't as bad as he thought it was, and there are consequences in wishing for your life and circumstances to be different. And as they say at the end of the trailer, be careful what you wish for, Parker. And he's going to learn that lesson the hard way in this film. And it's odd to me why Doctor Strange actually would even sign on to this. Obviously, he's a big fan of the multiverse, and that's kind of his thing. But it's very odd to me that Doctor Strange, who knows better than anybody the negative externalities that can be generated by entering into the multiverse, and what particularly that effect that would have on a young teenage guy who's not ready to face that reality, that mind-warping reality of the multiverse. It's kind of odd to me that Doctor Strange would agree to do this. So I'm pretty shocked about that. We'll see his reasoning for that, but he's even being warned here, as you can see, to not partake, which he does not heed that warning, and I'd be curious to know why he doesn't.
Too dangerous. Fine. I won't.
But clearly he's correct that it is too dangerous.
The entire world is about to forget that Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Wait, everyone?
So here's the first glimpse as he's trying to walk back it, and he's understanding the full ramifications of what's happening. And basically MJ, who, he trusts in his life because there's nobody that he's been able to tell that he's Peter. In the first film, we see him confess to Aunt May and Ned. But then in this film, in the second film, he's finally able to confess to MJ, his romantic interest, that he is Spider-Man. And that's something that he doesn't want to change. He wants to feel like somebody is in his corner and can relate with his pain and with his experience. And I think that he's developed a lot of camaraderie in the first act of this film with MJ, and entering here into the second act, we start to see that this all becomes warped for Peter, and things really start to go downhill for him when he realizes that nobody's on his side anymore, because nobody knows that he is Peter that he is Spider-Man once he enters into the multiverse.
Can't some people still know?
That's not how the spell works.
So MJ's gonna forget about everything we've ever been through?
Stop tampering with the spell.
Oh my god, Ned, he's my best friend. Oh, my Aunt May should really
Stop talking.
What just happened?
We tampered with the stability of space-time. The multiverse is a concept about which we know frighteningly little.
You can see Electro there. Also, let's just point out how much he looks like Ra's al Ghul here on top of the train. That was the first thing I noticed, is like, holy shit, that is Ra's al Ghul. Oh, wait, double take. It's Doctor Strange. I dig the black, though. That was the CGI that was unfinished in the first trailer. So at least they finished the CGI. That's good.
The problem is you trying to live two different lives.
So you're going to see that he's kind of on a tight timeline to sort of return back to his main life, but we'll see, obviously, that that's a lot more complicated than it seems for obvious reasons.
The longer you...
We can see here he has the Avengers suit, which I'm not a huge fan of in a solo Spider-Man movie. I really quite like it in the Avengers. It made a lot of sense in that film. I do think it's not really on brand for Peter, in my personal opinion, in a New York City setting. It's just too techy, too advanced, just not Peter Parker, who's important to remember. One of the main differences between, say, Batman, I'll say because he's one of the most well-known superheroes, is that Peter Parker's sort of a middle-class, lower middle-class even hero. He's comes from a working-class family. Very different than, again, Batman, who was born rich as shit. So to see him in this really, really fancy tech suit, not a huge fan of that. I much prefer the notion of him being more of a grounded, again, middle-class hero. And what would a middle-class superhero wear? It wouldn't be this fucking expensive-ass Tony Stark suit. And that's been one of the things that I haven't really liked about this trilogy, to be completely honest with you. But they're doubling down on it here.
Do it, the more dangerous it becomes.
Obviously, this is the grenade from the 2002 Green Goblin, from the Spider-Man film with Sam Raimi, Tobey Maguire. Fantastic movie for obvious reasons, but great to see the design exactly the same here. Upcoming here, we have the money shot, which is something that was actually ruined by the actor for this film, who's playing the character you're about to see. I'm sure you guys have already seen it, but yeah, it is essentially this payoff is something that he had spoiled and spoiled his involvement in the movie before.
What you wish for, Parker? Hello, Peter.
So there's no little post-credit scene. That's pretty much it. So you will notice that one thing that they're going to do with these characters, with both Doc Ock and Green Goblin and even Electro, they're probably going to go for a Sinister Six thing here. So I think there's going to these are the three that we are aware of: Electro, Jamie Foxx. We have Doc Ock here. And Green Goblin. I imagine they're going to bring back three others to make a Sinister Six, like a multiverse Sinister Six sort of idea. And one thing to note about this is that these characters are going to be different than what we saw in the 2002 Spider-Man movie. In other words, it's unclear if this Tom Holland Spider-Man is entering into the multiverse and entering into the Tobey Maguire verse, or if this is like Earth 9, let's say, and Spidey is basically interacting with Doc Ock, one of infinite Doc Ocks, and basically Doc Ock manifests himself in different ways in each of those planets. So in other words, it's unclear if the actor here from the 2002 movie is going to be playing the same character, acting in the same way, dressing in the same way. We can already see the costumes different from the 2002 film. But nonetheless, it's curious to me whether or not we'll be getting a basically one-to-one rip and Tom Holland is entering into the Tobey Maguire universe here, and right now he's in the Tobey Maguire universe, or is it that this is just a random rendition of Doc Ock, one of, again, millions, billions, infinite Doc Ocks that he could interact with in entering the multiverse, and he's going to act completely differently than we've seen him act in the past. So it's curious to me and remains to be seen, but I'm curious to see how that all plays out. So guys, that is the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. I want to know what you guys think about the multiverse being included here. What did you think about Doc Ock, the Doctor Strange stuff, the Green Goblin tease, the Electro tease? Overall, I really enjoyed this film. A pretty simple, I think, kind of 3-act structure to the film. And I am looking forward to seeing their relationship between Peter and MJ. I think that is finally going to get good. Again, it's not that it's been bad, but I would say that it has sort of needed improvement. I don't think it's progressed fast enough. I think that it's odd that we're only now seeing them as a couple in the third film. I think they needed to move a little bit quicker. And again, in my personal opinion, they should have moved a bit quicker to progress that relationship so it's more classic Peter and MJ. Again, it makes sense because this Peter is younger than we've ever seen on the big screen. But not a huge fan of that creative decision, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I am encouraged to see that they're finally together, that we're finally going to get to see the Peter and MJ relationship we wanted, as we can see right there. And obviously, this is going to be a really, really compelling film. They're going to wrap up this trilogy, I think, in an interesting way. And honestly, frankly, they're wrapping up the entire Spider-Verse universe. And with the success of Into the Spider-Verse that they experienced in animation, it's no surprise that they're taking this into live action, and I cannot wait to see what they do with it. I'm definitely more excited for this movie than any of the other Spider-Man films. I do not agree with people who are not excited for the movie. I think they're not making all the decisions that I would make, per se. I would maybe do things a little bit differently than them, but all in all, I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with this. And one of my biggest critiques with superhero films more broadly is that they tend to be quite predictable. And this film will be many things. I don't think it will be exceedingly predictable. I think that in terms of how we see Green Goblin and Doc Ock manifest themselves, in addition to the alleged or potential appearances of prior live-action Spider-Men, I think the film's going to be many things. Boring is not one. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the surprises, twists, and turns this film throws at us. Let's hope that the movie can come out before it all gets leaked on Twitter like the trailer did. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed, be sure to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. My name is Slick Moth. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.